Third down, 7. Jeremy Adams sets up in the shotgun. Takes the snap from NICKBEAM, avoids the rush, steps up, delivers a strike to Matt Jones, who laterals to BEANIE Whiteman. He's loose down the sideline. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10, 5, fumble. PUPS Sports wins, but BEANIE doesn't. Unbelievable.
PUPS Sports!
Care One Home Care offers nurses, therapists, and home health aides to allow you to recover at home. Remember Care One for all of your home care needs and recover at home with us. Call Care One Home Care at 1-877-CARE-150 and visit the website at www.careonehomecare.com.
How are you today, Bob?
I'm good.
Nick, did we introduce everybody else? NICKBEAM, Matt Jones.
Hello.
Hey there, guys.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Jeremy, the one bugging you on the text messages.
Okay.
And I just sit here, I don't bug anybody.
That's a lie. That's a filthy
I
lie.
didn't.
That's not a
Bug
filthy
all
lie.
kinds of people.
Sometimes it's good to bug, though.
Oh, yeah.
You were excellent today at the breakfast.
Pardon me?
You sounded excellent today at the breakfast. You guys did a good job.
Chuck did a good job. Just there to feed softballs.
All right, are you good? You got everything queued?
We ready? Yeah. Let's go.
PUPS Sports!
I'm Jeremy Adams. It's August 1st already. It's the PUPS Sports Show, joined in studio by BEANIE Whiteman, NICKBEAM on the controls, and today we got a special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts, Bob Lamey. Bob, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning. I'm ready.
I noticed, it says here 27th year, you had some time broken up in there, but 27 years, voice of the Colts altogether?
Yeah, this is the 30th time I've been at training camp, and 27 years behind the mic during the season. I think I did 7 with the Pacers, and boy, you're testing my memory. 3
right.
years with the Indianapolis Racers, the hockey team. So
Nice.
yeah, it's been a good experience, and a good run.
The years with the Pacers, what years were those?
Started in 77 through 84.
Those are ABA days? Or those? Yeah.
Well, mixture.
Mixture.
Actually, I think they had just gone into the NBA.
Yeah.
Joe
That was the
McConnell
George
and Jerry
McGinnis
Baker.
days, wasn't it?
George played for a little while. He
Yep.
was in Philly and Portland, and then he came back.
Came back, that's what
Yeah.
I thought.
All right. We want to tap into your brain here. You've seen a lot of football, a lot of Colts football.
Mm-hmm. Good,
But we want to start
mediocre, and great.
it off. Yeah.
So true.
As a kid, I can remember getting made fun of a lot for wearing my Colts stuff around, but I wore it proud, and it's all worth it now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when we first came to town, the team struggled. There was no question about that. It's a tough league to win. I don't care who you have, and the talent was not what we have now or what we had during the decade of the 2000s, which turned out to be the best decade any team's ever had in the National Football League. And then we've had, some rough spots. 2-14 wasn't fun. There were a lot of reasons for it, but you look back to 1997, we had a chance to beat Minnesota on the very last game of the season. Jim Harbaugh was playing quarterback, and we were winning. And Jimmy got hurt, and we didn't do very well after that, lost the game. But then we had the first-round pick and took Peyton Manning. And then Peyton gets hurt and doesn't play, and we go 2-14, and Andrew Luck's available. So Luck has been with this franchise long before Andrew was.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you never know how one game is going to impact the season, the decade, the forever. I mean, I don't care how long the Indianapolis Colts exist. The name Peyton Manning is always going to be right near or at the top of everybody's recollections. And it should be. Peyton was an outstanding quarterback. He was a great contributor in the community and a great guy.
Do you think if we wouldn't have gotten Peyton Manning, that there would be a Lucas Oil Stadium and an Indianapolis Colts still? A lot of Colts fans think that wouldn't be the case.
I'm not good at the what-ifs, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either.
If it had been, for example, Ryan Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. and a whole lot of credit. Again, you go back through the what ifs. Bill Polian does his due diligence and comes up with Peyton. Mm-hmm. And it was a tough decision. I mean, I've talked to him a number of times. It was, I don't remember what day the draft was then. I think it was Saturday. And it was like Thursday night or Friday morning when he said, this is it. I mean, Ryan Leaf had a good workout. Yeah. And nobody knew the way the two guys were going to go after they were drafted. And you sometimes can't tell. There have been a lot of number one picks that have not lived up for one reason or another to the billing. Right. Peyton did. Yes. A lot of guys haven't. Andrew Luck, I think, will. But again, when people say, how do you compare the two quarterbacks? And I say, ask me in about 10 years, because Peyton was good for a long time. Andrew was very good last year. I think he's going to be great for a long time. But you never know about injuries. You don't know about a lot of things. And so you kind of wait and see. But if I had to go to Vegas today and put $1 on will Andrew Luck be a great quarterback, I'd put 100 down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I can skip to another question then, because I was curious. A lot of Colts fans, that October 20th matchup with the Denver Broncos will be tough. But for guys like you that have been involved with the team, I mean, is it easy to separate the business aspect of it, or is that going to be a tough one to watch for you too, and a tough one to call?
It'll be the first time in a long, long time, dating back to college, that I will root against Peyton Manning. I would love to see him. If we can't get to the Super Bowl this year, I'd love to see Peyton win another one.
Me too.
But if the deciding game is going to be October 20th, whether we go or they go, I hope Peyton has the worst day of his career. But it's going to be tough because Peyton is the Colts. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't care how you cut it. Peyton Manning is the face of the franchise. Now he's gone. Andrew's getting there, and can you imagine the pressure that's going to be on both of them?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, Peyton wants to play well. Andrew wants to play well. The guys, I know on the other fellas on both teams, they want their quarterback to win. Whoever gets tickets to that game, I think you're going to
be
put those tickets away as a memory for a long time. Yes.
All right, we're going to have to take a break. Got some commercials coming your way. I'm Jeremy Adams with the PUPS Sports Show. In studio with Bob Lamey. We'll be right back.
Call Care One for all your home care needs. Care One offers nurses, therapists, and home health aides to allow you to recover at home. Remember, Care One for all your home care needs. Recover at home with us. Call Care One Home Care at 1-877-CARE-150 and visit the website at www.careonehomecare.com. Edgewater Woods is an expert at senior rehabilitation and a proud member of American Senior Communities. Pop by Edgewater Woods at 1809 North Madison Avenue in Anderson or call 765-644-0903 to find out how Edgewater Woods is keeping our senior loved ones off the bench and in the game. Edgewater Woods, where caring people make the difference.
We've traded in our sports equipment for microphones, and we want our listeners and viewers to have a hand in our show. Follow us on Twitter at PUPS Sports and like us on Facebook. To keep up with all our projects, go to our website, www.pupsportshow.com, and to advertise on the show, call us at 765-730-2334. PUPS Sports.
The Edge is a public facility that will treat you like a private club member for a day. Come spoil yourself with our lush golf course, junior Olympic pool, and 3 great dining options. The kids can swim, dad can golf, and mom can relax by the pool. After that, join us for a family-friendly meal in the dining room. We can't wait for you to experience The Edge. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and visit us online at www.theedgewood.net.
I think I would like to see it to be a shootout, a 45-38 game with Andrew throwing another touchdown to Reggie at the very end. I'd be happy with that. I'd like to see them both do well. Just Peyton come up short.
I'll take it. Just call everybody and we call the game off. We win 45-38, and we won't even play.
We won't even play.
You got to admit those have to be funner for you to call the shootout games rather than the back when I can remember the 9-6 games a lot. We had a lot of those field goal games. It seemed when I was young.
It kind of depends on the situation. If you're playing in Jacksonville and it's pouring down rain, I'll take 9-6.
9-6, yeah.
And, there have been games when you would take a 3-0 blowout, just get more points than the opposition. That's the name of the game. And it doesn't really matter whether it's like baseball. If you win 1-0 or you win 19-18, well, at the end of the day, you're 1-0. And if you lose those games, you're 0-1. You might have scored 18 runs, but you didn't win.
Around these parts, I don't know if they do it all over the state, but I know in Anderson, a lot of Colts fans get into the habit of turning down the TV volume, and they turn up the Bob Lamey volume. And I'm going to tell you, those games where we're racking up touchdowns and Bob Lamey's getting excited, Colts fans are getting excited. So I can tell you, those shootouts, Colts fans like them more.
Well, yeah, and we probably do too. Talking about myself, because it gets your juices flowing. But those kinds of games, I can remember the playoff game that led to the first Super Bowl, the win over New England.
Wow.
We score, and a die scores, and we're ahead, and I look down on the bench, and Peyton's sitting on the bench, and Tom Moore is the offensive coordinator sitting on the top of the bench, and both their heads are down. And the reason is the other team always has a chance. And now you're looking at Tom Brady trying to go down the field. And so for me, the biggest play in Colts history is Marlon's interception, because then it was a certainty you're going to the Super Bowl. It was a really strange situation. Even after Devin Hester ran the opening kickoff back in the Super Bowl, there was no doubt in my mind, and maybe this is the only time that I've ever done a game where I was certain we were going to win. No matter what happened that day, we were going to win the game. And it was Marlon. But you see the Colts come from, 21-3 or 6 or whatever at halftime, get the score, and then get a defensive play to end the game. There's a source above us helping out a little bit, I think.
Especially when we make a defensive play.
Yeah.
Well, the defense has been maligned for a long time. We've had
good players.
We've had good defenses, good players, not great defenses. Exactly. We've had great players.
We've talked about that in here, and that's something that I want to see in Indy is like a top 10 defense, a physical. But we've said that this year they got the capability to do it.
Yes, and that's a good word. We have the capability.
But barring injuries, if we stay healthy.
And people they look great in shorts.
Yeah.
And you put them in pads, and sometimes that doesn't correlate. Right. This group, if you see them in shorts, you run the other way. They're big people.
Mm-hmm.
And you see them on the practice field, and they're very, very competitive. This is going to be maybe the most competitive defense we've had.
I think so, too.
We've got good players becoming better. They're huge. They're fast. They're physical. And as a unit, right now, they're the best-looking defense I've seen here. But again, we've got 6 months to go.
Exactly.
And you mentioned injuries, things like that can happen. Guys aren't quite as good as you think they are, as the season wears on. It's a violent sport. And Chuck Pagano had a great line for the players the first day that we went into pads. He said, "This is the best you're going to feel all year. You're never going to feel like you do right now. Adjust to it. You've got to play through it. You've got to be physical. You've got to be tough, because you're not going to feel good tomorrow morning, and it's not going to get
any better from here on out."
And
That's right.
It's one of those sports that takes a tremendous part of your body that it doesn't recover like it used to.
Especially as you get older.
Yeah.
As you get older, the veterans.
I've got a knee that bothers me now that it was the same about 10 or 15 years ago and didn't even notice it. So, and I'm a lot older than they are, and they'll get an injury that will bother them all year. The good ones, the really good ones, play through it. Some of them require surgery, and that's a different case. But this is a tough bunch of guys, and they're together. You see things happening, and 11 guys are there.
Right. I noticed that when I was just watching them. I went down and was watching the defense. They like to talk. They like to hoop it up, have a good time, but they're all kind of there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him I haven't really seen that at a Colts camp. When I was a kid, then they came to Anderson. I remember Jeff Rod. He'd get him riled up. He'd fire up the defense. I hadn't really seen that since then. No, I hadn't been to the training camps down in Terre Haute, but.
Well, we've got a lot of good leaders. Corey Redding's a good leader. Antoine, but Antoine's follow me, do it the way I do it. He's not a rah-rah guy per se, but he has his say. And Robert Mathis the same way.
They lead by example, I think.
They do, and Robert's getting more vocal as he gets more of a veteran taste. And this is an interesting camp for him because he's never been to camp without Dwight.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that's, Robert is moved over to Dwight's position. Robert needs 8.5 more sacks to get to 100. He'd be the 30th player, but I think, and I've got to check this, it might be the first time a team has had 2. And, he's done it quietly. I mean, he's got 91.5 sacks.
Right.
And a number of double-digit years.
A lot of big ones.
Yes.
He's just been consistent.
Well, he gets the sack strip.
Yes.
More than most do. Dwight did it quite a number of times, and Robert's right there with him. And Robert's growing. I stop and think, best player I've ever seen here, Peyton. But there's a lot of guys who are 1A, Marvin, Reggie, Dwight. There's a whole number of guys, Jeff Saturday. Although, when you come down, Jeff and Peyton were like Mutt and Jeff. And now you think about it, who was the best center we ever had?
I would
Ray Donaldson.
I was going to say Ray Donaldson or Jeff Saturday, one of the two.
And again, it's a 1-1A thing. But Ray was a dominating force.
Yes.
Jeff was a leader. He wasn't as big as Ray.
No. Yeah, Ray was physical.
Yes.
And Jeff was more like another Peyton, calling the audibles, putting everybody in position on the line.
Well, and then you get to what was the best block you've ever seen? Well, there are 2 that jump out at me. One was Jeff Saturday pancaking the New England middle linebacker to allow Adai to score the go-ahead touchdown. And the second one was Joe Adai. Peyton was in Baltimore trying to throw a pass to the left side, and Ray Lewis is coming blindside, and Joe stepped across and took a hellacious hit from Ray Lewis. But Ray never got to Peyton, and Peyton completed the pass. And that play sticks in my mind. Normally, you see a running back, Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk, obviously Joe. Best blocking running backs I've ever seen. Marshall Faulk was pretty good. And you've got, that's it's a take for granted situation with the running backs. You don't always see them do it. And that one just somehow or another, I saw it. And it's still etched up here. And I told him one time, he's a very good runner. But my lasting memory of Joseph Adai is going to be that block. Because if he doesn't make it,
who knows what happens? Peyton
might be out for the playoffs, and who knows what happens. But they're the little things, and it's just, I'm wandering here, but the bad guys that have been in our locker room, less than a handful in 30 years.
A lot of those guys were those Bill Tobin defensive guys. I remember those defenses were physical.
They were physical, and when I'm talking about bad guys you wouldn't want to be around much.
Oh, gotcha.
Off the field,
on the field, yeah. But we haven't had many.
That's true.
Do you think Colts fans take that for granted? That was one of my questions, actually. Do we take for granted that kind of stand-up? We hear Chuck Pagano say the horseshoe way, the Colts way. Do you think Colts fans maybe take for granted that, we've had some minor incidents this offseason, but those aren't things we've typically had to see a lot of in the news over the years of guys getting in trouble?
No, I don't think, no, we have not had. I think when you're talking about take it for granted, I think we as fans, and I throw myself in that group, took for granted the 2000s. You're going to win 12 games. Yeah, easy. Okay, we're going to win 12. Maybe we'll get 14. You know how hard it is to win 1 in this league?
Yeah. Very.
And so when we went 2-14, some people jumped off the bandwagon because, well, this is the end.
Well, we didn't have Peyton.
Well,
I mean, you take any star quarterback. Well, it was more than that. But you take any star quarterback and you lose him for the year, you're going to have a rough year.
Right, but that's what I say, though. People were so used to 12
exactly.
and whatever, and the most wins in a decade, 2 was completely unacceptable. I mean, we're not fans. We don't like this team.
It's like telling a spoiled kid no for the first time at the grocery store.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I don't mean the fans are spoiled at all. We spoiled them.
Yeah, we were spoiled.
Well, I do think the fans were spoiled because we're so used to winning, so used to, okay, we know we're going to be in the playoffs. We know what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden, that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I used to tell Bill Polian it was his fault because he spoiled us with what he did. And then, we had the 2-14 year, and I've mentioned, you get Andrew Luck. We also got Ryan Grigson. And Ryan Grigson wins the Executive of the Year in his first year. And I've told my wife this a couple of times. Ryan Grigson, to me, is a young Bill Polian. He's not afraid to gamble. He knows what he needs. He knows where to get it. And, his non-contributing players last year, none.
Yeah.
Somebody, I don't care who you were, when you came in, we joke a lot about guys coming in on Tuesday taking a physical. Wednesday, they meet the other players. Sunday, they're starting and playing efficiently.
Right.
And that's the Colts' way. The interesting thing, you've got Daniel Adongo, who has never played football, comes from Kenya. You got Josh McNary, who's in the military service, and he comes in, and they're immediately accepted. They're players. And I watched the other day at practice, Daniel was trying to figure something out, and all of a sudden, here's Corey Redding with his arm around him, pointing out what's going on, how you do this. You got outside linebackers that's what he is, showing him how to play. And, it was as simple as players showing him how to put the uniform on.
Right.
He'd never done that. Now, can you imagine, here's a young man who was an outstanding rugby player. He's been hitting as hard as these guys in his brief career with no pads. I can see him playing on special teams, and I just do not envy the first kick returner who tries to come up his side because he's going to get a rude awakening.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's what you can do now. Can Daniel make the 53-man roster? It's a really long shot.
Right. Him and Jeremy Kelly both, because Kelly, if he could.
Kelly, that's who I want to see. I love his size, especially
he's
in the
big,
red zone.
and he catches the ball.
Yes.
He looks athletic for a 6'6" guy.
Yes. And you're right. Now, practice again. You're taking those progressive steps. You go from the shorts at OTAs to the helmets and shoulder pads to the full pads, and the next big transition is playing somebody on the other side who doesn't wear the same uniform you do.
Right.
And that's always a key, and it's the reason some guys, Edgerrin James jumps to mind, just didn't want to play preseason games because you got 11 Daniel Adongos over there who are not probably going to make your team.
And they're looking to make
but they're close, and they want to make a play so that when they put the footage on at night, wow, hey, did you see 93? Wow, what a play. And the veteran guys, they're taking enough hits during the 16 regular season games. Ahmad Bradshaw the other day, he said he'll be back in about 2 weeks.
Yes.
Do you need to play in a preseason game? He said, played in a lot of those. And I understood exactly what he was saying. It's not that, he doesn't want to play. He knows what goes on in those games. And if I'm going to get hurt, let me get hurt in a regular season.
It took me a while to figure that out about the preseason, watching football. And I was like, why don't they play? Then as I got older, I was like, I understand now. I'd rather have them for the regular season than being there in preseason.
And the two-pronged situation with, are we playing too many preseason games? I totally understand the fans' perspective. You're paying full price to see young players try to make your team. I understand the other side of it because you go back, and I'll throw a couple of names at you, Gary Brackett and Dominic Rhodes. If we don't play 4 preseason games, neither one of those guys are around. And you know what kind of an impact both of them had on our team.
Yes.
And somebody in camp this year, whose name, you guys pick a name, I'll pick one, and probably none of the three of us will be right. But there's somebody right now that you barely know his name who's going to make the roster. And it might be the 4th game when the veterans sit and the rookies play in that 4th one that is a turning point in a guy's career. If you don't have those 4 games, your veterans are going to have to play more in games 1 and 2, and you're not going to be able to see Dominic Rhodes or Gary Brackett. And then all of a sudden, those guys who are, Gary played 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, he made a tremendous impact on his team.
Yes.
He might not have
captain, wasn't he?
Yeah. From a walk-on to a defensive captain, and here's a guy in his 3rd and 4th preseason games, he doesn't know whether he's going to be here in September. So I see both sides of the argument.
It's a double-edged sword, and you're really never going to make everybody happy.
Well, Bob, you gave me a time that you need to be back over there. I want to make sure I honor that. But I have a bucket list request.
Okay.
You can help both Beanie and I cross something off our bucket list. Because do you remember the show Married with Children?
Vaguely.
Ed O'Neill.
Yeah, I do.
Well, that's the whole emphasis to our show, PUP Sports. PUP stands for physically unable to perform because we peaked in high school and now we're old, fat, falling apart. Can't do the things we like to do anymore, so we talk about it instead.
I know that feeling.
So we never got to make it to the big stage, and I've got a hypothetical play call with our names in it. Would you look it over and read it as if you're calling it out like we're down on the field making a play? I'll let you look it over. And then we'll get you back over there to the field because there wasn't a walkthrough this morning, but I know you guys got a lot to get ready for that 150 practice this afternoon. Think that's doable?
No.
Exciting enough?
No. These guys can't play.
Come on, I ran a 5.340.
Well, I had a track coach who he used to clock us at some very gracious times. For a long time, I tell people I ran an unrealistic 40 time.
Well, the fastest I ever ran was 4.4. Wasn't bad for 10 yards. I was playing baseball, and some knucklehead invented the curveball, too.
I know. What were they thinking?
I don't know. If it was straight, I could hit it.
Me too.
And I remember the idiots who used to say it's an optical illusion.
It's not an optical illusion.
Never had a bat in their hands.
Exactly.
Hey, if that ball didn't break, it was a heavy wind.
All right, we're going to have to take another break real quick for some commercials. Thanks, Bob, for joining us today, and we'll be right back.
Stop by the downtown Anderson PIP printing store for all your printing projects. And don't forget to ask John and Anna about their endless varieties of customizable and promotional items. PIP Printing is located at 1200 Meridian Street, directly across from the historical Paramount Theater. Give John and Anna a call at 765-649-9292 to find out why PIP is the wise choice for your printing and marketing needs. At-Home Assisted Living Services is a locally owned non-medical home care company taking care of our senior loved ones all over Indiana. Call At Home at 1-877-730-6646 and visit their website, www.staywellatHome.net, to find out how At Home is keeping our senior loved ones where they want to be, at home.
Look no further than the Mounds Mall of Anderson for your entertainment, shopping, and dining needs. Centrally located on Scatterfield, you're never too far away. Keep up with our schedule of events by liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter at Shop Mounds Mall, and by hopping on our website, www.moundsmall.com.
All right, that's going to wrap up the PUP Sports Show today. A special thanks to Bob Lamey for joining us. Great show. Cross that off our bucket list, that's for sure. You can get the rest of the PUP Sports shows on www.pupsportshow.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at PUP Sports.
PUP Pop Sports!